Hello, I'm Bridget Daisy and welcome to my channel. Today I want to walk you through how my husband and I built this beautiful garden railing behind us here. But before we jump into that, let's talk about how the project got started. When we first started working out here in the backyard, we were only planning on expanding our concrete enough to accommodate for a hot tub. But once we had that in place, we ran into some other problems. You'll see more about that a little later in the video. Before we really jump into it though, let's talk about some projects that we're also planning in the future. So number one, over here where you see the patio furniture, we're planning on adding a gazebo. And then in addition to that, behind us here, over in this area, a little bit later, we're going to be adding an outdoor kitchen. So make sure to subscribe so you can catch those videos as well. Let's jump into today's video though. I know you want to see how this garden railing came to be. All right, to start out for this video, we're finishing up the trim on this garden railing, and this part always feels the most satisfying. Each piece just tightens up the whole look, makes it feel solid and complete. We like to take our time here, lining up the edges so everything stays square and even. When we first started this project, we were only planning to extend the concrete. That was it. But once this portion was finished, we stepped back and realized we were left with what looked like an unfinished edge and a bit of a hazard. There was a drop-off and no real visual boundary, so adding this railing became a must. It not only makes the area safer, but also gives it a clean, intentional look and lots of space for plants. Earlier in the project, we also planned and built the stairs to tie into this space. Those stairs aren't just functional, they're framed into the garden railing and integrated with the concrete as well. That connection makes everything feel like one cohesive structure, and it ensures both safety and durability. It's amazing how much more polished the garden looks when every element works together as part of the same frame. For the bottom pieces that needed angled cuts, we used a circular saw with sawhorses to get precise, clean angles. It's a simple setup, but it makes a huge difference in getting those pieces to fit perfectly along the base of the railing. We're using our battery-powered nail gun for this project. No air hoses, no compressor to drag around, just grab it and go. It's lightweight, quick, and strong enough to drive these nails flush every time. It makes this kind of trim work so much easier, especially when you're doing a lot of pieces like this. You can really see how the trim ties the whole railing together. Clean lines, no exposed edges, and it gives everything that finished professional look. Plus, it helps seal up those ends and keeps moisture out, which is going to make a big difference over time. As we're nailing these pieces in, we're already thinking about what's next for this space. The railing is just the start. Next year, we're planning to grow a ton of produce out here. The plan is to add a bunch more garden beds in this rock area. Probably more than double what we have now. Once the trim is done and everything's stained, it's going to frame the garden beautifully. We'll have beds for tomatoes, peppers, greens, herbs. So much produce could be grown back here. We can't wait to see how much this garden produces next year. It's going to be a big one. Now we're heading over to what we have named the boat side of the garden railing. Before we can get anything done, there's a little bit of cleanup to tackle. The backyard had a lot of thorny brush growing along the fence line, and let me tell you, it was pretty much attacking us as we walked through. I put on some gloves, and a lot of caution later, we were able to clear out enough space to actually start working. Now that the cleanup is done, check out this image of the framing of the larger section of the garden bed railing. We call this end the boat because it has a curved end to accommodate the triangle shape of what will eventually be our lower garden. The curve isn't just for looks, it helps maximize planting space while following the natural layout of our yard. We're also planning to incorporate some of the blackberry bushes that grow behind our fence into the garden. They're going to add fruit and natural coverage, but first we have to defeat that thorny brush. It's like a little obstacle course back there, pruning, clearing, and wrestling with those branches before we can get full access. In a family that builds together, chaos is guaranteed. Someone measures, someone cuts, and our 9-year-old is usually supervising. Somehow it all comes together, and the laughs, teamwork, and family chaos make every bit of hard work priceless. We're putting the finishing touches on the trim now, and it's amazing how much these last few pieces really pull everything together. It's all about the details, clean edges, secure nails, and making every corner look polished. While we're getting these finishing touches in place, it's a good time to think about why having a backyard garden is so rewarding. Beyond the beauty and structure, our garden gives you fresh produce, herbs, and flowers right outside your door. It's a space to experiment, grow your own food, and really enjoy a little outdoor therapy after a long day. Adding trim isn't just about aesthetics. Just like tending a garden, paying attention to those little details pays off over time. When everything's done, we'll have a space that's functional, beautiful, and ready to support healthy plants and happy outdoor moments. Finishing the trim and watching the garden take shape is a reminder that a little patience and care can turn a simple backyard into something truly spectacular. Next up, we're going to work on the small end cap. This is actually the only piece of wood that's untreated. To make sure it lasts, I'm giving it a couple quick coats of polyurethane. Just a thin coat, let it dry, then a second coat, and it'll be ready to go. Even small pieces like this can make a big difference once everything is finished. Treating it protects it from moisture, sun, and wear, and it gives it a nice even shine that'll match the rest of the project. Now it's time for the final large section of trim. This is the one that's going to be the most visible from the house, so it really carries a lot of weight in terms of appearance. People walking by or looking out the window will see this section first, and it sets the tone for the whole garden area. That's why we're taking extra care to get everything aligned, level, and flush. We want it to make a strong, polished impression. Installing a piece this large requires focus. We're measuring twice, checking the level, and making sure every nail is driven straight and secure. What's really satisfying is seeing the transformation as the trim goes on. The railing instantly looks more complete, and the garden space feels finished and intentional. This is where all the little details we've been working on, cleaning, framing, and adding smaller trim pieces, come together to make a big visual impact. Once this final section is complete, the garden railing will feel cohesive, polished, and ready for staying. Even from inside the house, looking over this space, the combination of clean trim lines and carefully framed beds will make the backyard look organized, beautiful, and inviting. Finishing this trim is a perfect reminder that sometimes the most noticeable improvements come from the details. A single well-placed section can elevate an entire space, creating a garden that's both functional and visually beautiful. Today is a very rainy day, so we're moving inside to decorate the front entry for Halloween. It's the next day and the rain has finally ended. Now it's time to get back to work on the garden railing and finish off this staircase. Today we'll give these stairs a proper finished look with some trim. Trim work might seem like a small detail, but it's where form meets function. It hides the little imperfections, covers those gaps and joints, and most importantly, ties everything together visually. It's the difference between something that looks built and something that looks crafted. In a few spots where the trim meets the stair treads, I had to pull out the bandsaw to notch around the stair edges. A bit of extra effort, but the fit is worth it. We actually debated whether to even add this trim detail. It's one of those steps that no one might notice right away, but once it's there, you can't imagine the project without it. In the end, we decided this was no time to cut corners. A clean, finished edge really makes the whole structure feel intentional and complete. We haven't been completely happy with how this end of the boat has been turning out, so we decided to make a change. The plan is to trim down the end and add a perpendicular piece to finish off the garden railing. First, Brandon made a clean pass with the circular saw to shorten the boards, then came back with the multi-tool to free up the wood. Once everything was loose, I quickly removed the screws holding the boards in place, and just like that, it was ready for the new end cap. That small alteration makes a big difference. It gives the structure a sense of purpose at the end, like it was always meant to stop right here. Next, we added a bit of trim to tie it all together. We cut these pieces down on the table saw for a couple of reasons. One, the smaller scale just looks better here at the end of the garden bed. And two, we had to work around the size of the electrical outlet. It's those little adjustments that make the whole project feel balanced. Each small detail adds up, and now, with the trim in place and the new end cap secured, this end of the garden railing finally looks the way we pictured it. We're getting so close to the finish line, and it's really starting to come together. Finally, we're moving to the very last section of the garden railing, the one we've been putting off until the end. This part sits behind the fence, which makes everything a little more challenging to reach. It's not the biggest section, but definitely one of the trickiest. We're starting with the deck boards, just 3 left to go, the final boards for the entire project. Each one needs to be measured and cut precisely to fit between the posts and the fence line. It's a tight squeeze, so we're working carefully. Once those are secured, that's it. The deck boards are officially complete. And then we tackle the very last pieces of trim. The nail gun just barely fits through the narrow gaps in the fence, but with some maneuvering and patience, we managed to get it in position. We're making great progress and cruising right along when a little visitor stopped by to say hi. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a small snake slithering along the fence line. He gave me a quick start at first, but once I realized how small he was actually kind of cute. I have no idea what kind of snake this is. Do you? Drop a comment below if you know what it is. We gave him a minute to move along his way and then got right back to work. And now, the moment we've been waiting for, the very last piece of trim. The final nail goes in, and just like that, the entire garden railing project is complete. Before we pack up all the tools and call it a day, there's only one thing left to do: a happy dance! Tomorrow we're going to start staining, but before we do, we're gathering a few last things from the garden, some sweet orange peppers and a handful of fresh basil. We're planning to make some homemade pesto with these, and it smells amazing already. We'll be covering up the plants to protect them while we work, so this is our little harvest before everything gets tucked away. We didn't get too much out of the garden this year. We've been so focused on building, but even these small picks feel really rewarding. Next year, we'll be ready to enjoy the garden and the harvest. We've finally made it, the very last step of the garden railing project: staining. It's kind of hard to believe how far this has come, but this is the part that really pulls everything together and makes it look finished. So, for this step, I'm pulling the Graco paint sprayer back out. It's my first time using anything oil-based in it, so I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous. I've heard the cleanup can be a bit tricky, and I really don't want to mess this thing up. Before adding the stain, I ran a little mineral spirits through the sprayer just to lube everything up inside. That helps protect the internal parts and gets it ready for the thicker oil-based product. Once that was done, I poured in the stain and started spraying. And wow, what a difference! The sprayer went on smooth and even, and the color just brought this whole project to life. It's amazing how much the wood grain pops once the stain hits it. You can really start to see all the effort pay off here. After making our way through most of the railing, we saved the section behind the hot tub for last. Mostly because it's such a tight space. There's not much room to maneuver, so Brandon went in first with a brush to get the tricky corners, and then I followed behind with a foam roller to even everything out. It actually worked really well, even though we had to get a little creative to reach everything. Once that last bit was done, it was time for cleanup. I ran mineral spirits through the sprayer a couple of times, followed by water, just to make sure everything was flushed out. It wasn't as bad as I expected, and definitely way faster than staining the entire thing by hand. Standing back now, it feels so good to see it all finished. This stain gives the whole garden railing such a clean, rich look, and knowing this is the final step makes it so much better. Looking back, this has been such a rewarding thing to build together. From rough framing to final details, every board tells a part of the story. It's amazing to see how far it's come, and even better to stand back and know it's done. If you've enjoyed watching this garden railing build, don't forget to like and subscribe. Next up in our backyard, we're going to be putting together a gazebo, so you won't want to miss out on that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.